Hello all you beautiful people out there, what is going on? This is from BritikHD with another video, and today we are going to be talking about Predecessor, one of the original Paragon remakes, aka Paragon 2s as I've been calling them on this channel. I'm just so excited. Oh, this is going to be a good one, so I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, please drop a like. Let's get right into this video. Now on your screen, you're going to be seeing V41 Monolith gameplay from Paragon, because we were not allowed to actually record any of the gameplay in this internal test. A couple of content creators were invited by Omada Studios to play together and just check out the game. We only played 2 games, so we didn't get too much hands-on time, but I will talk about my first impressions, what I saw, and then I'm going to talk about how it felt and what we can expect going forward. So there's going to be a lot of information in this video regardless. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay, and the reason I picked V41 Monolith gameplay is because that is what this Predecessor internal test resembled the most to me. It felt like I was playing a version of V41 Monolith directly from Paragon, which I think is probably the best compliment that I have given to any of these projects. And you guys know I'm a very big fan of Fault. A lot of people think that I'm being paid off. First of all, I'm not being paid off by anybody. I'm not being paid off by Overprime or Fault or Predecessor and Omada Studios, the people behind Predecessor. I'm not being paid at all to say anything I'm going to say in this video. This is all just honest opinion, first take, and they want us to be honest. Now, I can tell you guys exactly what we played, but keep in mind that this build will most likely, if not already, be outdated compared to what they are working on right now and what they will have for hopefully a closed alpha sometime very soon. Everything that we played was pre-alpha and is subject to change, so keep that in mind as I discuss what I saw. So if you guys remember, if you've been here since the very beginning, and if you haven't, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another update. But you'll remember that there were 5 heroes that you can play as. That was Gadget, that was Murdoch, Muriel, Sevarog, and Feng Mao. Well, in this build, they also added 4 more. They added Chimera, Narbash, Gideon, and Sparrow. So we were able to choose amongst those 9 heroes. For both of my games, I played as Sevarog because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything with Sevarog. He was my favorite out of those 9, and so I wanted to play him, and I got a chance to play inside the jungle as well. Now, when it comes to the item system, let's tackle that first. It is basically the same exact thing as League of Legends. Same exact thing. You click on an item and you see a recipe for it. There's a bunch of parts that you need to build into to create that final item, that top tier build item that's about 3,000 plus gold. You just need multiple components to that. It's exactly one-to-one as League of Legends. So if you don't know what that is, you look that up and see. But basically, you just find a bunch of little components, add them all together, and then the final item is going to have all those stats combined, plus maybe some sort of sick active or passive. There were 4 active slots and 2 passive slots. Same exact thing as the V41 item system before they switched over to the card system in V42 in Paragon. Now, there were potions and there were wards. There were no separate item slots for the trinkets or wards, as you might know them from other MOBAs. They took up one of the 6 main item slots. There were no movement items in this build, but they are currently experimenting with that. They are testing to see if they should add something like boots or some of that sort, because there is no travel mode in the game either. Now, the reason I say that this game reminded me so much of V41 Monolith is because they're not on the legacy map that you guys might recall them working on. They still have it, they just don't know how they're going to use it at this point in time. The Monolith resembling map that they have is really good because it takes the best parts out of Monolith, but it also takes some good stuff that I liked out of Legacy as inspiration and combines the two, and I really enjoyed the map. For the map, you have the river that runs straight through the middle, exactly the same way it does in V41. Mid lane seemed almost identical to the way it was on Monolith, and you would have river buffs on both sides of the river as you would expect in Monolith. On one side, you would have the Fangtooth Pit, and on the other side, you would have Orb Prime Pit. Everything looked exactly the same. So that is not really up for imagination. Just look at this gameplay and see how it's positioned, and you'll notice that they'll be in the same exact spots. The most notable difference is that in the jungle, there were no buffs. There were no red buffs, no blue buffs, no green buffs, no amber links. And the jungle wasn't as open as it was in Monolith. It was definitely a little more reminiscent of Legacy in the sense that there were a lot of blocked off lines of sights, and you had to kind of, move around a little more around these rocks and formations to see direct line of sights. You couldn't see from one end of the jungle to the other by standing in one spot. You had to kind of serpentine your way through this jungle, and in both sides, there were 3 jungle camps. So you had a total of 6 jungle camps on your side of the jungle, plus the river buff that was right on the river on both sides. But again, that's the neutral objective for both junglers, where you would expect clashes and team fights to occur. Now, in the regular jungle, you just had regular minions, camps of 2, they wouldn't stack, you just had to clear them before they would respawn, and you would get that and level up that way by taking out those camps and then ganking. Again, no gold buffs either in the lanes. If you guys remember, there was a gold buff in the duo lane and a regeneration buff in the solo lane come Monolith. Those were not there either from what I can remember. It was just the river buffs. And again, this is all subject to change, but it felt really, really good. It felt really good. Roaming around the jungle, rotating between lanes, ganking, it felt really good. There was a feedback system. When you hit something, you felt like you hit something. The audio design was very, very good. Absolutely incredible. Shout out to Oak Owl for the audio design. That's the name of the guy over there at Omega Studios working on it. Dude is a monster. It felt really good. All of Sevarog's abilities were original audio, and they felt really, really good. The soul siphon felt like I was ripping the soul directly out of my enemies' bodies. And the impact when I would land with my hammer or I would land a subjugate, it all felt really good. And even more importantly, arguably, when I got hit, I knew when I got hit. When I was low on health, my screen, the edges blinked red and there was a heartbeat sound, and I felt immersed and I felt involved, and I knew exactly when I had to get out of there. I had a couple moments where I escaped near death, and I knew exactly when to leave the fight because I knew I was close to my death. So that is one of the most important things to nail, and I think they are really, really, really close to perfecting it, if not already done so. I really enjoyed the way it felt, and I don't have anything bad to say about that. There were a lot of things that I really, really enjoyed. I liked the health bars, I liked the UI, I liked the HUD, everything was clean. The health bars was just as you see in V41 Monolith at the bottom, just nice, simple, and clean. Items were very visible. You knew exactly what items you had in your disposal. Speaking of items, a lot of the item art was placeholder. They did have some original item art, including potions, for example, but for the most part, it was placeholder, so they do need to work on that and update that, I think, a little before they release it to the public. But for the most part, announcer was great. Original announcer voice, fantastic. You knew exactly what was going on. You had these nice little quality of life things. For example, when Fangtooth was about to spawn, there was this little notification that popped up on the side of your screen. Not too big so that it's not so intrusive, but it's large enough for you to see. And there was a minute countdown to when Fangtooth would spawn. So if you kind of let it slip out of your mind, there's that little notification saying, hey, here's a minute, 59 seconds, 58 seconds till Fangtooth spawns. Now you can ping to your teammates, hey, we got to rotate here in about 40 seconds to get this Fangtooth. And speaking of pings, the comm system was very well fleshed out. They had every single ping you needed. They took every ping from Paragon, put that in there, at least all the important ones that I could notice, and they even brought back good job, which I did spam because I had to for the culture. Overall, great first impression. I didn't have too many gripes. Again, I cannot comment on balance. I cannot comment on if there were some abilities that felt broken or some items that felt broken because I only got to play 2 games and I built the standard tank items both games. But I was really hard to kill. I was pretty good both games. I don't know if that was just me knowing exactly what to build or if that was just the lack of experience of everyone else as well. But I grasped the game pretty quickly, and I already kind of knew where to go and what jungle routes to take at my second game, and it felt really good. I really enjoyed it. Now, I do have a couple gripes, and these have either been already looked at or are being worked on currently. We all submitted a feedback form at the end of this testing, and I included these items in the feedback form. I didn't notice any game-breaking bugs whatsoever. I didn't really get stuck on anything. I didn't fall through the map. None of that happened. The minions were doing what they're supposed to in the lane. Tower worked the way it was supposed to. Everything worked the way it was supposed to. And I had just a couple gripes when it came to Sevarog himself. First of all, when you did his Phantom Rush, his little slippery slide, and he tried to escape, the way it worked was that it was a predetermined linear dash. So wherever you were looking, you would right click, and then you would be stuck and locked in that animation until you were done with your rush. And that's all fine and dandy, but it felt a little clunky because there's a lot of momentum in the game when it comes to the physics and the way they built the physics in the game. And so when you would end with the Phantom Rush, Sevarog would continue to slide forward just a tad bit more, like he was kind of skating on ice. And it didn't feel too good. It felt like I didn't have too much control there, but they already fixed that up a day later after I let them know that first day, which was remarkable, to say the least. And then the ultimate with Sevarog was really, really funny. You guys probably seen the ultimate before. It has been showcased on some previous gameplay that was released to the public that I actually showed in some of my videos. But that ultimate of his, that colossal blow, sent people flying, which is fine, but the way it sent people flying was a little funny. It was a little disorienting because you would hit them and they would go very high up in the air. There was more verticality than I expected, to the point where I would almost be knocking people over walls, which was a bit disorienting because they would leave the screen. I would be focused on them, and then you would hit them, and then they would just go up. When you're in a close quarters combat, you would actually lose sight of them. So I just recommended, hey, maybe a little less verticality, just compensate for that. Maybe with a change in angles and a change in, you can keep the knockback distance the exact same. Just don't make it so that I'm shooting them into outer space, and then you get a bunch of shooting star memes as a result, which would probably be really entertaining, especially if A-Lit came back and made those memes again. But yeah, it's not that great for the gameplay, in my opinion. But that's about it, guys. I really just can't stop singing praises about this first impression. And I know I've had a history of hyping things up when they didn't need to be hyped up, but this was just me being completely honest and being unfiltered, and me just being excited because I'm waiting, just like you guys are, for another of these post-Paragon projects to become more serious and to actually be playable to everyone. And I'm just really, really on board with what Omega Studios has shown to me so far, and what Predecessor is turning out to be. All those guys are just incredible, and a big shout out to Omega Studios for sure. And I just really, really enjoyed my couple of games that I had in that internal test. Now, again, very important for me to reiterate this. I only played 2 games. I might have missed something that might actually be bad. I might have missed something that could be improved upon. That is completely possible, and probably did actually happen. But the work so far for a pre-alpha is just, it's incredible. There's just no other words for it. For a pre-alpha, for the state that it's in, it functions. It's very, very close. Let me just put it this way. It's very, very, very close to the public eye, in my opinion. If they wanted to release it, they could probably release it in the next month pretty comfortably, I'd say, because they want to polish everything out. These guys are perfectionists, but it just looked, I felt like I was already playing like a public version of the game. I forgot that it was an internal test. I was ready to invite my buddies to hop on and play some games, you know. So it was good. It was playable. Like, I could play it in the state that it was in. I could play it all day, to be honest. It was lots of fun. I really enjoyed my time. And the average game length too was a decent length as well. Our first game was about 25-ish minutes, I'd say, and the second game was, when people kind of figured out what was going on, it was like 35, I believe, 35 to 40. And we took all 3 inhibitors, and we took Orb Prime twice. So I think that was a really good game length for the game as well, in case you guys were wondering about game length and game pacing. I will be talking more about Predecessor in the future, of course, you guys, and on stream as well. So make sure you guys check me out over there at twitch.tv/BritikHD. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss another Predecessor video. I hope you guys are excited. I hope I was able to paint a picture in your mind as to what I saw. And I hope that Predecessor releases some gameplay for us to show you guys sometime very soon. But until then, hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, make sure I'll have a wonderful day. Peace. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Predecessor, it feels and looks really good. It feels and looks really good.